Man, that Usher nice and slow. 12-year-old me spent many days singing that at the top of my lungs. I just loved the way it sounded. It didn't dawn on me until I matured how mature that song actually was. See, I grew up on Galaxy Glen and Carlea, 88.1 Las Vegas, the People Station. Most days was the best of R&B and hip hop. Thursdays was the best of old school. Sunday evenings more old school and jazz. Other than Sunday morning where you hear the choir from one of the churches down the street, what you usually got was a smooth melody and a voice giving you an incentive to go half on a baby. See, we cringe with some of the stuff we hear today, understandably so. But the reality is sexual songs have been around forever. And with all of the music for our community being on that one station, young Ant heard it all. From Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On to Sexual Healing. Luther Vandross, If Only for One Night. The Isley Brothers, who are hands down my favorite group of that era, they sang Between the Sheets. Teddy P said, Close the Door. Rick James said, Give It to Me. In the 90s, artists like R. Kelly, Jodeci, Silk, and H-Town began to turn it up a notch, releasing songs like Bump and Grind or Sex Me or Freaking You or Freak Me or Knocking the Boots. It's responsible for a lot of y'all born in the 90s. If you were born in 99, it's because your parents were so anxious to do it anywhere, in reference to Genuine and 112. If you were born in the year 2000, it's because your parents owned an album titled Tonight, and they listened to 3 songs in a row. Let's Make Love, If You, and Meeting in My Bedroom. And by the time Baby Check Your Friend came on, you were already swimming to an egg. Now we enter my young player from the Himalayas days. Ideal said, Meet me at the creep in. Pretty Ricky said, Grind on me. Usher asked, Can you handle it? One of the most underrated songs of that era, Sons of Funk, said, Show feels damn good to me when I'm pushing inside of you. My goodness. So far, I've only mentioned music, and from male artists at that, so you know how big this thing gets. The bar as far as male sex appeal was set the first time an artist unbuttoned their shirt on stage. Showed that six-pack. The way the ladies reacted said you had better been able to do the same, or you had better been able to sing like Luther if you wanted to compete. The fact of the matter is sex sells, because even more than we sell it, we buy it. The adult film industry generates billions of dollars in annual revenue because of this. A single professional expects to entertain many Johns a night, whether that's in person, on cam, or over the phone. There are people every day that get paid and pay their bills by engaging in what's called the oldest profession on earth. If we're being honest, sexual activity was the reason why most of us couldn't wait to be grown. It wasn't the freedom to leave our parents' home. It was the freedom to get in that stuff, that funk, that sweet, that funky stuff. It certainly wasn't our desire to go to work, pay bills, or run errands. So when Salt and Pepper came on the scene with Let's Talk About Sex and later followed that with Push It, and TLC said It's All Yours on Red Night Special, and Adina Howard said Freak Like Me, Freak in the Morning, Freak in the Evening, there was already an audience eager to accept that. Lil' Kim blew up because being as raunchy as she was exactly what a lot of women wanted to express. There are a lot of names we would not know if the label sexy was not attached to them. A lot of people whose talent wasn't up to par to be on that screen, playing that role, featuring on that song, working with that producer, hosting that event. The list goes on and on. But hey, if they're able to recognize this and take advantage of their opportunity, more power to them. Because if not them, somebody else will certainly step up and take their spot. We don't know Lisa Ray because she gave some incredible acting performance. We know her from the Players Club because she was the sexiest for that role. But should she not have taken it? Didn't we just know someone else for being sexy? Of course she should have. Was Crystal Wilson typecast by playing Ronnie in that movie? Or was being sexy her talent? It's a legitimate question to ask because if you look at her acting career beyond that, the movies that she played in would suggest one or the other, if not both. She also wrote a book called Sexapes, Sexcapades and Recipes. You be the judge. There are a lot of people who were considered hot in the 90s who haven't been seen on screen since because they relied on their sex appeal rather than crafting their skill. And when that younger, better looking model of them was found, they were faded out. This disproportionately affected women because men are said to be better with age and have a lot more non-sexy roles available to them in film. With respect to Teyana Taylor, the women who have very high levels of talent and very high level of sex appeal are usually found at the very top of their industries. Aaliyah, Rihanna, Beyonce, Halle Berry, J-Lo, to name a few. Either the world does not know how talented Teyana Taylor is, or the world does not know how sexy Teyana Taylor is. But she certainly deserves to be on that tier. The women that reached the top who were not sexy, or were sexy but chose not to rely on that to get them there, worked extremely hard for that position, and were there because their skill level was so high that they could not be denied. Viola Davis, Queen Latifah, Lauryn Hill, Missy Elliott, Angela Bassett. But none of these women are the problem as it pertains to the topic at hand. See, there's been an escalation of sexual content being created that has exceeded most of our comfort levels. The media being produced today will be confused with the soft P.O., are you going in? Of the past. The problem lies within the many people, particularly women, who find themselves with an adequate amount of both sexiness and talent. There's an endless sea of them. In the very first video that I did on this channel, I spoke on what I believe to be the underlying problem of social media. I spoke of all the big fish who used to be in small ponds who were placed into a larger body of water where they're no longer the big fish, but with the major issue being that the small fish was also thrown into that larger body of water. Now they're even smaller fish. This is why so much silliness is done on camera, because people are trying anything to separate themselves from the next. Apply that same ideology to the entertainment business with an understanding that sex sells, and what you have is a plethora of female entertainers who find themselves in the media for not the best reasons. Whether that's Young Miami in her golden showers, Sukihana, eat a ninja's behind, Sexy Red, my pee is pink, my butter hole brown. The more outlandish the comment, the more attention it receives. But how do you stand out without making those type of distasteful remarks? Well, that brings me to this month's favorite person, KeKe Palmer. KeKe Palmer is a beautiful, sexy, and very talented woman. Our eyes and her filmography says that that's very much the case. But what happens when a beautiful, sexy, and talented woman is placed in a room with 99 other equally beautiful, sexy, and talented women? You now have a room with 100 average women. So if I was to walk through that room with the task of choosing the most beautiful, sexy, and talented of that group, how would I go about choosing them? I'd either pick the last one I saw because she's freshest on my mind, or the one that wore that proverbial red dress, meaning the one who by other means stood out the most. When you're an entertainer, you're always in that room. Every time you leave your house, you place yourself within the thralls of competition. KeKe has been in the game since she was young and understands this fully. If she goes to that Usher concert in anything less than what she had on, we're talking about someone else right now, and she fades further back into our memory. But understanding that Usher dances with women on the front row of his concert, it seems to me that she fully took advantage of an opportunity to place herself above the other 99 women in that room. Wear her proverbial red dress, be sexy, and play the part. Again, she's very talented. Don't let that escape your mind. I wouldn't be surprised if she coached her boyfriend to tweet that. Not saying that I think she did, I just wouldn't be surprised if that came out. If you believe all attention is good attention, she just got 2.5 weeks of good attention without making unpleasant remarks. And it's not just from people with opinions on social media. It's from studios, producers, directors, brands, etc., who are now considering how good she would look in that role, in that commercial, on that runway, in that dress, at that fashion event. So in my opinion, it wasn't her embracing her 304 hood. It was her being a veteran in the game and competing at a very high level. And as you can see, she's taken full advantage. And if we're being honest, what she wore wasn't even all that revealing. There was a time long before you and I was born when a woman showing skin, legs, bared arms in public was considered risque. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. The sexy garments worn by Dorothy Dandridge in the 40s and 50s, Diana Ross in the 60s, Pam Grier in the 70s, Janet Jackson in the 80s, all considered amongst the sexiest of their time, would not be able to compete in today's market. Lil' Kim is the first that will be able to compete today with what she wore back then. It might be safe to say she was 27 years ahead of her time. Whenever there is competition, there will be a need to escalate your level of play. We see women who are not entertainers fully engaged in positioning themselves as high as they can in the dating pool. This is the reason for the frequency of the hair and nail appointments, the multitude of skincare products, tanning options for the non-melanated, the implants and butt lifts and injections, the colored hair and wigs and designer clothes and handbags, etc. It's what they feel they have to do to compete. The good conservative woman that we all say we want goes completely unnoticed. What our actions show is that we really want to grab one of those other women and have her cover up once she's ours. And this escalation is not exclusive to women. Some men were born with the natural features that women find attractive. Others had to up their game wherever they saw an opportunity. Some brothers hit the gym real hard, got their chest and abs together. Others let their ability to sing, dance, or make her laugh do the talking, that talent. Some focused on getting to the money and improve their game through their wallet. But they all have escalated the game to where if you find yourself average in every category, you're not in a position to compete. In the 90s, taking a woman to the movies, bowling, skating, dancing, an amusement park, or getting a quick bite to eat was an acceptable first date. Today's brothers have escalated that to top-rated steakhouses, coveted show tickets, exotic getaways, intimate setups on rooftops, overlooks, and other romantic settings. The music, which I have already discussed in great length, continues to be less expressive artistically and more to the point when it comes to sexual content. The intimate scenes in film are more pronounced and in-depth. It makes Halle Berry's Monsters Ball scene look PG. And society as a whole is expressing sexuality more freely than we have ever seen. Do not be surprised when you turn on your screen and see a well-known actress, musician, or other entertainer doing, saying, or showing the unthinkable, because it's going to get worse.